Welcome to this introduction to PreseMaker. Over the course of this presentation, we'll walk through everything you need to know to get started, including what PreseMaker is, who it's built for, how it organizes learning materials, and how the authoring workflow actually operates from start to finish. We'll also look at how AI assistance is woven throughout the process to support you at every step. By the end, you'll have a solid, clear understanding of what PreseMaker does and how it can support your course authoring work. PreseMaker is a Windows-based application designed to help course authors build structured learning materials efficiently. Its core purpose is to take you from a completely blank starting point and guide you all the way through to a fully populated course, with AI doing much of the heavy lifting along the way. The tool is built specifically for Windows, meaning its interface and features are designed around that environment rather than being a generic cross-platform solution. The problems PreseMaker addresses are ones that anyone who has built a course from scratch will recognize immediately: inconsistent structure from module to module, the slow and often frustrating pace of generating content by hand, and the challenge of keeping large volumes of material organized. These are the friction points that PreseMaker is built to eliminate. What makes it genuinely different from conventional authoring tools is the role AI plays in the process. This is not a feature that was added on as an afterthought. The AI assistance is central to how the tool works, and it is what allows authors to move faster and produce more consistent results than traditional approaches allow. PreseMaker is built with three core user groups in mind. Instructional designers benefit from its structured authoring framework, which takes the complexity out of organizing and developing course content, allowing them to work more efficiently without losing rigor or depth. Corporate trainers are a natural fit as well. Many trainers are working under tight deadlines with limited resources, and PreseMaker helps them produce consistent, high-quality training programs without a steep learning curve or lengthy production process. Educators at all levels, whether teaching at a secondary school, a college, or a university, can also use PreseMaker to author professional course materials without needing deep technical expertise. The tool meets them where they are. What ties all three groups together is a common set of challenges: content creation that takes too long, structural inconsistency across materials, and difficulty managing large volumes of information. PreseMaker is designed specifically to address those pain points. Finally, the tool runs on Windows, and that is a deliberate decision. These are the users who already live and work within a Windows environment every day. So building for that platform means less friction and faster adoption right from the start. PreseMaker organizes all learning materials into a strict three-level hierarchy, and understanding this structure is essential to working effectively in the platform. At the top level, you have the course, which represents the broadest scope of your content, an entire subject area, training program, or curriculum. Think of it as the container that holds everything together. Below the course, you have modules. These are mid-tier groupings that break the course into thematically related sections, each focused on a specific topic or learning goal. Modules give your course structure and help learners understand how the material is organized. At the bottom level are content items. These are the actual instructional materials that learners interact with directly: lessons, assessments, activities, and other learning assets. This is where the real instructional work lives. What makes this hierarchy important is that these three levels are interdependent. A content item cannot exist without a module, and a module cannot exist without a course. This parent-child relationship ensures that everything in PreseMaker stays organized and structurally consistent throughout the authoring process. You always build from the top down: course first, then modules, then content. The course, module, and content hierarchy is not simply a filing system. It is the architectural backbone of PreseMaker itself. Every feature within the tool, from AI content generation to material display and workflow navigation, is built around these three levels. Because the hierarchy is enforced by the tool, authors benefit from consistent structure automatically, without needing to manually organize or maintain it themselves. This consistency carries through to how AI generates content as well. When the AI produces materials, it does so with awareness of where that content sits within the hierarchy, which means the output is contextually appropriate to its level in the course. This structure also gives authors a clear sense of where every piece of material belongs at any point in the process. Before beginning to author in PreseMaker, understanding this hierarchy is essential, because every subsequent step in the workflow depends on it. The PreseMaker workflow follows a clear and structured progression from start to finish. Every project begins the same way, with a completely blank course, an empty container with no content inside it yet. From that starting point, authors build out the course structure by defining modules. These modules act as the sections and topics that will organize the learning experience. Once that structure is in place, PreseMaker's AI engine gets to work, generating fully developed learning materials to populate each of those modules. After the AI has produced that content, the workflow shifts into a human review phase. Authors examine what has been generated, refine where needed, and polish the materials until everything meets their standards. When every module contains finalized content, the original blank course has been completely transformed into a ready-to-use training program. This guided approach removes much of the guesswork from course development and gives authors a reliable, repeatable process to follow every time. When you begin a new project in PreseMaker, you start with a completely empty course. There are no modules, no content items, and no pre-filled material of any kind. The course itself is the top-level container that will eventually hold everything you create. But at this stage, it's a clean slate. This approach is intentional. By starting from nothing, you as the author are making deliberate choices about the structure and scope of your course from the very first step, rather than trying to work around or undo template content that may not fit your needs. Everything that follows will be built inside this container, so establishing it fresh gives you full control over what goes in and how it's organized. Once a blank course exists, the next step is defining its architecture. Authors do this by adding modules, which serve as the mid-level organizational units that divide the course into manageable, thematically related sections. Each module should represent a coherent topic or a specific learning goal, giving the course a clear and logical shape before any actual content is created. The reason for establishing this structure first is straightforward. When the module framework is in place, any content generated in the next step has a clear home within the hierarchy. Without that foundation, content can end up scattered or poorly organized. The quality and clarity of the module structure directly influences how relevant and well organized the final course materials will be. So taking the time to define it carefully at this stage pays off throughout the entire development process. Once the course structure is in place, PreseMaker's AI engine gets to work generating fully developed learning materials for each module. This includes lessons, explanations, assessments, and other content that would otherwise take hours to write from scratch. What makes this process particularly effective is that the AI operates within the established course, module, and content hierarchy. That means everything it generates is contextually relevant to the specific module it belongs to. The content isn't generic. It's tied directly to the structure you've already defined. This is where PreseMaker delivers its most significant time savings. Instead of staring at a blank page, authors receive fully developed content they can review, refine, and build upon. The authoring process accelerates considerably, allowing course creators to focus their energy on quality and customization rather than initial content production. Once the AI has generated the course materials, the workflow moves into a critical human review phase. Authors carefully examine everything the AI has produced, evaluating it for accuracy, appropriate tone, instructional quality, and alignment with the intended learning goals. This is where human expertise and judgment take center stage. If anything needs adjustment, authors have full control to refine, edit, or replace content at this stage. Nothing is locked in simply because the AI generated it. Every element can be reconsidered and improved based on the author's professional judgment. This step reflects a core design principle behind PreseMaker. The AI is a supportive tool, not an autonomous decision maker. It accelerates and assists the authoring process, but humans retain final authority over what makes it into the finished course. That balance is what ensures the completed materials genuinely meet both the author's standards and the real learning needs of the audience. PreseMaker's AI assistant is designed as a content acceleration engine that runs throughout the entire authoring workflow. Rather than being limited to a single step in the process, AI is embedded at every tier of the course, module, and content hierarchy, providing contextually relevant support wherever it's needed. Whether you're structuring a module, generating lesson content, or building assessment items, AI is available to help at that specific level. The problems this approach directly addresses are real and familiar to anyone who has built instructional content at scale. Writing from scratch is slow. Quality can drift and become inconsistent across materials. And organizing large volumes of content into a coherent structure is genuinely difficult. PreseMaker's AI is designed to take pressure off each of those pain points. What's equally important to understand is the relationship between the AI and the author. The AI is always a supportive partner. Authors retain full control over every final decision, and the system is built to augment human expertise, not replace it. The judgment, the instructional intent, the voice, those belong to the author. AI simply helps get there faster and with greater consistency. One of the more technically significant aspects of PreseMaker's AI is how it connects to the course, module, and content hierarchy. The AI assistance built into the platform is not applied in a generic one-size-fits-all way. Instead, it operates with full awareness of where in the hierarchy the author is currently working. This means that when content is generated for a specific module, it reflects that module's topic and learning goals. The AI understands the scope and context of what is being built, so the output it produces is directly relevant to that particular area of the course, rather than being generic filler that requires heavy reworking. This tight integration between the AI engine and the hierarchy is what makes the system so effective. Authors consistently get organized on-topic materials that align with their course structure, which dramatically reduces the amount of manual editing needed after generation. PreseMaker is built specifically for Windows, and that decision is a deliberate one. The vast majority of instructional designers, corporate trainers, and educators work within Windows-based environments every day, so developing a Windows-native application makes the tool immediately practical and accessible for that audience, rather than requiring users to adapt to an unfamiliar operating environment. PreseMaker integrates naturally into the workflows they already have in place. This platform focus also gives the development team the ability to build a more refined and consistent user experience, concentrating their efforts on doing one thing exceptionally well, rather than spreading resources thin across multiple operating systems. PreseMaker is a Windows-based, AI-assisted authoring tool designed specifically to help instructional designers, corporate trainers, and educators create structured learning materials efficiently. At its core, the platform is built around a clear organizational hierarchy of course, module, and content, and that structure is what ensures consistency and clarity across everything you build. The authoring workflow follows a logical, guided progression. You start by creating a blank course, then define your modules, use AI assistants to generate content, and finally review and finalize your results. That sequence keeps the process manageable and predictable, no matter how large or complex your training program might be. Throughout that entire process, AI functions as a powerful accelerator. It helps you move faster and overcome the challenge of starting from a blank page. But the human author always remains in control. The AI supports your decisions. It does not make them for you. Ultimately, PreseMaker is built to solve the most common pain points in course authoring, bringing structure, speed, and quality together in one tool, and making the journey from nothing to a complete training program as efficient as possible. Thank you for watching.